Hi guys.
Hi, Sonia.
I'm actually in bed. I had my COVID shot yesterday and I feel like garbage.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no,
Oh,
I'm so
no.
sorry.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not on video.
Well, we appreciate you joining us under the circumstances. If you don't feel, well enough to continue, you can log out at any time and we'll send you a copy of a link to the recording so you could see what you missed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Hi, Peter. Okay, I think we're all here. So I'm going to officially call the meeting to order at 6:02 on September 28th. The first item on the agenda, oh, well, I guess, Sonia, if you can hang on at least for a few more minutes. We wanted to welcome our newest committee member. Sonia, you're not feeling well, so I won't put you on the spot to say anything unless you want to. But we're really happy to have you on the committee. I think you're going to help, round us out and help us concentrate some additional planting efforts on on the other side of Norwalk, where we're going to be planting quite a few trees where Sonia lives. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the meeting. If you wanted to add anything, Sonia, otherwise we all understand that you're under the weather.
No, right now I'll just lay here and listen.
Okay, well, welcome. Are there any public input comments at this time?
Do we have anybody else from the public attending? currently?
We do not.
Not that I know of. Delene, are you running IT?
I am, and there's no attendees.
There's no one there? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, Paul, I believe we received a letter from Senator Blumenthal. If you wanted to just let everybody know quickly about that.
Okay, will you let me put it up on the screen, Delene?
Back later?
No, I'll
Yep.
So each year, the senator recognizes tree cities and tree campuses, because I receive a similar letter for work we do at Norwalk Community College. And it's just a really nice way for us to be recognized not only by the Arbor Day Foundation, but recognized by our state as well. Did you want to say anything about the letter, Paul?
And this is can you guys see my screen?
No, but we see you.
Can you let me share the screen, Delene?
You're all set to share. You should be able to.
Okay.
Gonna blame this on you, Darlene.
Yeah. We try again. Okay, it looks like it's gonna work this time. How about this?
Yeah.
Okay, Senator Blumenthal sent the letter of recognition for the city earning the Tree City USA for 2020, which was the 17th year in a row, and basically complimented the city for the 17th year and wanted to recognize us for that goal and achieving that. Congratulated us on the accomplishment.
Awesome. And just to let people know, or kind of remind people, it's the same thing with the tree campus. You apply in December of that year for Tree City or Tree Campus status for that preceding year. So we would apply for Tree City and Tree Campus for 2021 in December of 2021, because we need to show for the entire year that we've hit certain points. So that's why this letter is recognizing 2020.
I've got a quick question, if I may.
Sure.
I noticed in Southport, right when you're going over the Westport Southport border on Route 1, there's a Tree City USA street sign, a road sign. And I just wondered, do we have any of those in Norwalk? Because I hadn't noticed.
Yes,
Do we have them up though?
yes. We have them at the town line on 53 and Newtown Avenue coming in Chestnut Hill Road down into Norwalk. There was one over at the Darien town line on Route 1 at Connecticut Avenue. And then there was the one over on Westport Avenue also. So we have them in 3 spots.
The Westport Avenue one I saw, and just to also let people know, Paul and I worked together to get the Tree City USA flag, kind of flown at City Hall for, was that about a month, Paul?
When we were talking with everybody, because there are a lot of requests that come in for that, Donna King talked with building management, the city clerk, and she had asked them to fly it for the month of August, and she had also asked them to fly it for the month of April for Arbor Day.
I would love to be able to get that flag up at one of the corners or something around City Hall on a more regular, but that's the first time, at least that I know of, that we've done that. So it's at least a start 2 months out of the year. So great work with that. I'd like to go ahead and ask for approval for the meeting minutes from July 27th. Paul went ahead and emailed them out to all of us. Did anyone want to make any changes or comments about it?
I made a comment before we started that the minutes have been outstanding and I motion to approve them.
Second.
Thank you.
And Cindy seconds it. Awesome. Great job, Zelene, with those. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so a quick update on the Neighborhood Tree Liaison Program. We have a very robust program. We have over 20 Norwalk residents who are very excited to be part of this program. We had last month, no, it's still September. So a few weeks ago, we had one of our training sessions. It was well attended. We did a presentation and we have literally and figuratively let loose these liaisons within the neighborhood and are already starting to get back some positive feedback and some addresses and locations where we could use some greening. So again, a very robust program. And if anyone knows anyone who would like to be a part of it, they should go ahead and email us through the Norwalk Tree Advisory website. One click will email all of us at the same time, and we can go ahead and work towards, bolstering that even further. I want to turn the floor over to Jim Travers. As Paul mentioned, he's the Director of Transportation, Mobility, and Parking. We're really happy to have him at our meeting today. I think it's really important that we all collaborate and get to know each other. We were all at a meeting a few months ago, but really didn't get a chance to to really talk individually. So thank you for being here today. And I understand that you're going to be talking about a tree removal that's going on in East Avenue and a replanting plan.
Sure. So thank you. So a little background. So several years ago, the city won a federal CMAQ grant, which is an emissions mitigation grant largely used for opportunities to reduce vehicle emissions, largely transportation related. You're looking for projects to get done. Well, what we submitted for was the installation of 6 new traffic controllers and subsequent traffic signals that are connected so that at the end in those corridors, you have easier movement through. It's a way to modernize the aging infrastructure. So we've been, during the past year, underway with executing that grant. and starting the process to install those traffic signals. A couple of intersections are already underway along Route 1, and they started last week the installation of a new traffic signal at East Avenue at Wall Street. And during the process of installing the mast arm, which is often the case every time that we've done this, and I've done this in many municipalities, is you get sometimes surprised by some underground utilities that weren't clearly marked, which was the case here, required us to look at a new location for the mast arm. It is in an island, and unfortunately, that mast arm location, the only place that was feasible would require the removal of a Bradford pear that is in the traffic island currently. We went out, looked at potential other locations. There weren't any. The equipment is already ordered. So we need to make some field adjustments to make that happen, but the tree would have to come down. So we walked the street, and recognizing the city's desire to increase their tree canopy, we wanted to make sure that we're going to take down a tree and we're going to provide something more than what we take down. So we looked in the immediate vicinity of this and looked at the tree belts around and what could sustain a variety of different trees. And we came up with an opportunity. So I had also a conversation with Anthony about sharing the cost of this so traffic or transportation, mobility and parking, and DPW will share the cost of this, but we will, while we will remove one tree, we will install 22 additional trees at different locations around. There's a variety, and Paul has a map that Paul and I walked it
Yesterday.
Monday. Forgot what day it was for a minute, but we walked it Monday just to take another look at places where they can go. Some of them will require to be low growers as they're underneath power lines. Where they're not low growers, we really saw an opportunity to install some larger species trees in the amenity zone as well. We've been really major supporters of trees and amenity zones as they do a number of different things, but provide a level of a barrier, a little bit of a barrier between the pedestrian and the motor vehicles, and your walk feels a little bit better. We also like to put them around bus stops where we don't have bus shelters, because they can provide a little relief from the sun and some sprinkling of rain that occurs. So we got them in at bus stops, we got them in along East Avenue, and we got them we're able to get them along Park as well. So I think, Paul, could you show the
I'll
map?
bring up the map for you if you want. I'll share the screen now.
Okay.
And I'll start down at the south end if you'd like, and we'll work our way up from City Hall.
Okay, perfect.
And I'll let you walk through it.
So the intersection that so you'll see where Bradford Pier to be removed is up at the top, and we'll see it as sheet goes up. But we started it so that's the tree that's going to come down in that traffic island that's split there. Before I go on, I should note that while this project was already approved and under design before I got here, this intersection is not my favorite intersection in the city. And I think that we could do additional work here. And one of my requests to the council for next year will be some funding to look at some designs to improve mobility, including in a priority for pedestrian mobility around this intersection. So largely the splitter island would be relocated during that process anyway, because I think that it's just a different model of design and doesn't allow us to get some pedestrian crossings into the green.
To Jim's point, this is a difficult intersection. It's really difficult.
Yeah. So we're looking at I've penned around some potential different redesigns, but we're going to go out to a consultant to do that. And it's going to be complex and regardless of how we do it. But we are committed to doing some major improvements here. So we looked at where we have some existing tree belts that amenity zones adjacent to the roadway. In a few instances, we got them not into the amenity zone, but into the distant adjacent properties is really where we're going. For that kind of budget split between DPW and TMP. For TMP, we really need to have it somehow related to traffic. So the in the amenity zone really fits within what we do for sidewalk work. So we have some of the dots that are represented. The red represents what we can get in as some native larger trees. And then the yellow represents what would need to be some hybrid or some low growing trees because of overhead power lines. We don't want to interfere. We don't want to get to the tree to a point that it grows into the power lines and then has to be trimmed on a regular basis by the utility companies. So these are what we're proposing as ability to get in here now. And then if we could go to the top.
Jim, just really quickly before
Yep.
you move this. these
Okay,
up,
can we go
the
back that
picture
screen?
up? Oh, yeah, I just wanted to just ask about the numbers in parentheses after. That's the number of trees, or is that the location?
So that's the number of trees that we're proposing on this sheet, right? So in this one, we're proposing 2 of the lower growing trees, and we're able to get in 5 of the larger species.
Nice.
So Jim, while you're there, just a quick question.
Yep.
You're showing them sort of in the verge or the snow island. Is that purposeful, or can we not get permission to go on the, the insides of the sidewalk?
So that's purposeful for us from a traffic perspective. The trees at those locations, it should be noted that the tree belt here is a minimum of 4 feet. Most of the ones that we got it in were 5 feet wide, and they're continuous. But having that over the in that part of the sidewalk does a number of things. It has it's shown in a number of studies to help reduce speed on streets as you start to build a canopy. But it also provides that level of shade when you're walking on the sidewalk and gives you those areas of respite that's there. And also when the leaves are in bloom, does a real when you start to get more trees in, does a really great job at starting to remove some of the road noise that happens and that feeling of a barrier between you and the car. And I think Paul could attest as we were walking down the street, and it's really void of many street trees, that it's not a comfortable walk, right? Because you have cars that are going by fast and they're coming behind you. They sometimes get noisy, and this is not a great walk. So that the tree belt was an intention for us to get them in there. And then they also tie in with how we could participate with traffic as it relates to our budget.
And I'll just mention one thing. Jim and I were walking down with Garrett, and we were walking too wide down the sidewalk over in the area of just north of Moody's Lane, and where there is no actual tree belt there. And it was really close. Somebody almost skimmed me with a mirror.
Yeah, no, typically, Jim, 3 foot and wider, I'm usually okay with. It's just been a sort of a preference to go inside when we can. Just for root growth. It's mostly root
Every
growth.
one of these that we measured where we were doing it, they were 4.5 to 6 feet wide.
Yeah, I don't usually have a problem, under up 3 foot and wider. It's just some things we try to look forward to or look to do. It's fine.
Okay.
But we've had a lot of problems getting permission on East Avenue just because many people don't want trees.
Which is, I think there also becomes the benefit to get it in. But, I think we have to look at a lot of different creative ways to address the traffic that's on East Avenue and the speed in which vehicles go. And I think that we need to be creative within our solutions and look for some things. And I think, we can start to build that. It's also very noisy out here, and I think that we would benefit from having more to absorb some of the road noise.
And when we did the walk yesterday, we tried to lay them out with what we'd already done on East Avenue in the past in this area over the years, and then fit them in where we could so that there wasn't something right in front of the other one, but yet maybe it would provide something to fill the gap over by the Chamber of Commerce. We moved the two back because of infrastructure. So we tried to look at everything we could when we walked it.
I mean, we've had this street targeted for a decade already in our strategic plan to get it canopy
Yes.
covered, so. It's all good.
Hopefully we'll be participating with 22 more trees soon.
Great.
That stretch on the east is tough.
Yeah,
Very
really
difficult.
tough. As as we saw, on the east side, we have the utility wires over, which is why you're seeing in this screen, some low growers that are on that side simply because of the utility issues. And then we were able to get one onto the onto private property, and that could be a larger species. But as we look on East Avenue at Betts, you see we're almost overlaying where there's a bus stop, but we thought it was really important to get a tree in, even a low grow tree in by a bus stop, to provide a little bit of that. If you're out there on a really hot day, it's torture for our transit riders. So we like to do this the best we can. But this was all using existing infrastructure so that we could work to get these installed this season. And then you'll see on the west side of the park, we really saw an opportunity, really large tree belt that existed over here, and saw an opportunity to kind of complement some of the existing trees that were there, looking to fill in some of the gaps, and get them in. And I think will be a really value add to the park setting of the green. So in total, what we really look at in here, though, that was pretty much everything that we can get in. We're looking at 22 trees in total. In this case, we're looking at 8 additional hybrid and then 7 of the native species. So I think a good mix of that, and then hopefully starting to change a little bit of the character that's happening in this quarter.
Yeah, so just as a point of interest, where it says the Norwalk green, the word itself to the left, those are 2 of the largest Japonica sephora trees I've seen anywhere. And I
Yep.
wouldn't doubt that they aren't what's the word I'm looking for, legacy trees. So that might be worth looking into, because those are fabulous trees right there.
I wasn't going to get into that, but I had a little quick sidebar. I had a visitor from a lady this morning that I hadn't seen in 6 or 7 years, Jean McAndrew, and she brought me all of the files for the Norwalk Tree Alliance Legacy Tree Program. So I have all of those right here in my hand.
Yes, and there's certainly a sourwood over in Riverside Cemetery that meets the state register. That one's not on there.
Okay.
So-
One of the things too in this area, the church, there were areas here where the trees look like they've been taken out over the years and never put back. So that it would be nice to have a couple in front of the church there. And this area specifically, the snow shelf there was over 6 feet.
And what
Absolutely.
size trees are these, are you thinking about? What caliber?
They would be out of the normal program.
Yeah, like 2.5 to 3s.
Yes. And I want to have Jim talk for a minute, and we're going to ask you guys for a little of your input too. Jim had talked about a couple of species of trees possibly, but we want to get some input from you guys too.
Right. Well, one of the things that I think we probably want to help you with, Jim, is how can we help kind of market this plan? How do we help let people know that this pear is coming down because of particular reasons, and that we're going to have 22 trees installed in throughout this area of East Avenue to kind of offset it. Just because I'm sure, as you know, when a tree comes down and it's posted, people become concerned and they want to know why. So how can we help you to kind of get that word out ahead of time, so maybe we can get ahead of anything like that?
Right. So understanding where we were, that's when I talked to Paul, I talked to Anthony really put this plan in place to talk to you. I also had subsequent conversations with, we have Councilperson Shanahan on here. I also had a conversation with the local council person, David Hooverland, to talk to him about the project and about what we're doing. And then, I think what I was intending to do is, work with Josh Morgan, pending your blessing in this, and get a little word out from the social media, because, I do think it's important, that people also know what's going on, but people see like there is a really conscious effort into doing something. This wasn't a one-for-one replacement, but I think something that was really substantial. And I will also digress slightly on this, but tomorrow I would love to. This came up relatively quickly, so I apologize for your schedules, but we would love to invite you to a little ceremonial planting that we're going to do on Wilton, where we're planting 18 trees in the partnership with the health department. So the health department was able to secure a grant through DPH. It was a creative grant that we wrote together to get it, and then we're matching it with dollars from TMP. We're getting in 18 street trees there. Had a conversation. We provided some documentation to the residents there, and then had an intern knock on door to door for all the households where the tree is in front of, and overwhelming support for this, and their talk of desire to have the trees for a really long time. So we have a couple of people in the neighborhood, even though it's going to be at 11 o'clock tomorrow, are looking to participate as well. But love to have you there, because I think it's also a little great story to put out as well. That these things don't happen by just one entity, but really by a collective effort into the city changing, and evolving and looking at projects as not just through a microscope, but much more from a greater lens, and how we impact the area around us. We did this through emission mitigation, right? And I think we benefit it further by adding some street trees that we know help to remove particulates from vehicle emissions and gives us fresher air to clean. So I think we could share that with the post that Josh does with you, and you could put it out as well to your connections. But I agree with you. We should let more people know. Not only the bad things that are happening, a tree has to come down, but more importantly, that we're taking efforts to green our city and to green the area, particularly that's affected by the recent changes that we're doing here.
Sure. Well, congratulations on the grants. That's fantastic. I don't know of anything that we particularly do with Josh. We don't have anything that we put out with Josh, a blog or anything. So if Josh comes up with something, it would be great if he could send it to us, and I could go ahead and send it, for example, to all the tree liaisons. In case anyone asks them about it, at least we'll have some kind of boots on the ground that know about the replanting plan. And a lot of us belong to online neighborhood programs. Like I belong, to the Next Door Cranberry and other programs. And that's where I see a lot of people posting, sometimes feverishly, if there's a tree coming down. And so I just want to have something comprehensive that we're all on the same page with, to kind of throw out on those kinds of websites if need be.
All right, so I'll work with Josh to come up with some text that we can provide.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much.
All
So
right.
Jim, two points. One is that this is far more positive than the removal issue. So in the light of, look what we're doing to improve the streetscape, and by the way, we're taking out the garage repair. If that makes any sense. I just there's so much more going on than just taking out one tree here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
About framing it in a positive way, where we're acknowledging the loss of that tree, but we're showing all of these fantastic planting efforts for sure.
And second point, we talked about Tree City USA signs. This is a much better place than US 1 where there are no trees. So just in the back of our minds, we put those Tree USA City signs. They would be nice to be on tree-lined streets such as this. Just an off-the-cuff comment. But
They usually do them at the borders, but I could ask them if they can get us some more signs and we can put them elsewhere in the city.
I mean, that's US 1 and East Avenue. That's a prominent intersection. It's not, some neighborhood corner. So I think it's defensible.
So Jim is talking
Alan
about
Broadbent.
possibly with the hornbeams and then looking at maybe American linden and honey locust. I'd like to see if maybe Peter or Rich, I could get some input from you guys, and if Alan, I see you're on too, if anybody wants to give us some input on the species, because those haven't been finalized yet, but we'd like to so that we can order them as soon as possible.
Yeah, the ones on East Avenue have to be narrow. They're pretty tight there.
Why don't you try a couple more of the Sephoras? Because the ones over there by the church are doing extremely well.
Okay.
At least mixing them in, sort of
And mixing them in, yeah.
ABC variety. I hate them young, but they're fabulous when they're old.
Kind of like me, Peter.
I was thinking of saying the same thing.
I see Alan, Delene Allen has his hand raised.
Yeah, I had a quick comment, not so much on the species of trees, by the way, the plan sounds really good, but just procedurally, it just dawned on me, on our tree postings for removals, is it possible to change the way that posting is organized, literally the piece of paper nailed to the tree? Can it also mention the trees that will be planted in replacement of the removal?
Usually the postings are kind of set for what has to go on it, but I mean, we could put something else on under it.
Just wondering, like, bigger picture, that's what really causes a lot of agitation. And if the posting itself, the actual
Okay.
piece of paper that's posted on the tree had more information around the project and or a QR code or a website to visit that showed the entire project, that might be a balming aid to a lot of the agitation that comes from those postings.
Alan, a simple sandwich board with a laminated sign could be as effective.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me
Just
see
a
if
thought.
we can do something with that. Yeah, that way there it might create and basically avoid a lot of the customer service phone calls that we get too. If we put it right on it, maybe we could do that. Yeah.
I think it's a
That's all.
fantastic idea. And I think a QR code with maybe showing something like what we're all looking at right now would be fantastic as well.
Okay.
A lot of people follow Nancy on Norwalk. Would she write anything about this project, like in a positive note, or does she not write positive note articles?
No, she would love to write about something like this.
Because I think, just because she has such a following, if we can get her to write an article about this, I think it could really be really positive on the front end.
I think,
Usually here at
well,
City Hall,
Josh will probably want to reach out to a couple of places and we'll let him do his job with that. But I think that, the Norwalk Hour and Nancy on Norwalk and a few other onlines that Josh works with would be really, really good for this kind of a story.
yeah, that's usually the way we do it too, is let Josh handle the press releases, and then if it gets picked up, go from there.
Yeah, I'd give her a press release to work from.
Yeah, Josh does prepare those and send them out. Agreed. Jim, did you want to mention anything else? I don't want to cut you off there.
No, just if, we'd love if you could grab a shovel with us tomorrow at 11. If anybody's not doing anything, we'll be on Wilton Avenue.
I would love to. Unfortunately, I'm in the classroom all day on Wednesdays, but I'm sure Paul or maybe I don't know if somebody else can go.
Yeah, I'm going to be up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
I'll see if we
Erica,
can
I
get
just
Josh
have,
to come.
Delene, did you want to say something?
yeah, we have something in the question and answer from a Lewis, Australia, just saying that there's a City Tree USA sign on Route 123 border of New Canaan as well.
Okay.
Oh, nice to have you with us. Hi.
So that was really all I had, right? So,
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
No
and
problem.
It's a great segue into our capital tree planting program. As you can see, we have quite a few trees in different locations around town where they're going to be going. I don't know if did you want to read each one individually, Paul, or the way they're listed here? Was that?
I can
was that
kind of
your
go through
call?
them fairly quickly, and the person who's kind of handling it can kind of help out. In this case, Rich has staked out a bunch of trees with Ken Hughes up off of Bacon Street. I think there's 20, you said, Rich?
Yeah, Aiken Street is staked out. That actually came from next door comments last year about the work being done with some subdevelopments and also the work on the field. So we targeted Aiken Street and sent the locations to Ken. I think they're okay. There might be a little tweaking needs to be done based on a drainage pipe, you were saying, Paul?
Yeah, some of the infrastructure, we're gonna walk it just to make sure there's nothing that's too close to the infrastructure that just went into the ground out there related to the project. And also the 15 green giant arborvitaes that were originally to be installed as part of that project will be
Those are
going
in.
in.
Those are already in.
Okay, and then
Right.
also there's some trees that will be worked with the condos up there too. So there'll be a variety of plantings that'll be going in up there.
Yeah,
So
so
I think you bring up a good point, Rich. Aiken Street and all the plantings that we're doing there is a perfect example of how something gets posted on these next door sites or these neighborhood sites. And we can kind of target some of these areas and get input from people in town and then address it on our end. So this is kind of a success story with some of the initial postings on that site.
that would actually be good to respond back to the next door site
Mm-hmm.
and just say, thank you for your previous input. We wanted to update everybody. Here's what we're doing this fall.
Yeah, I can easily do that because they had reached out to me. So, and then I sent that email to the rest of the group. So I
Great.
can go ahead and follow up with that for sure. On Madison Street, 15 Madison, Sonia, you still with us barely?
He's there.
Yeah.
Okay. 15 Madison is an area in South Norwalk off of, what is that, Washington there?
Martin
Martin
Luther
Luther
King.
King.
Martin Luther King. Sorry, I knew Washington didn't sound right. And we are going to be putting in some arborvitae, right? Some arborvitae. And what was the other one that we had talked about, Rich?
We wanted to start with, well, first of all, when Sonia gets better, I'd like to meet you out there, Sonia, so we can mark the exact locations.
Right, because we had talked about 2 trees on the Monroe Street side, and I think 3 on the Madison Street side, in addition to the arborvitaes.
Yeah, maybe even 4 on the Madison side if the other one by the playground comes out.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. And
So-
we gave Sonia the list of trees with photos that Cindy worked on and put together. So she
Yeah.
was able to, at a board meeting, show everyone not just common and scientific names, but images of what a mature tree would look like so they could better make some decisions. So
133
Sonia, I guess
Murray
when you're
Street.
feeling better, if you could reach out to Rich and he'll meet you on the grounds and get some stakes physically in the locations where you and the rest of the residents want those trees.
Okay, I hopefully I'll be feeling better by tomorrow or Thursday. This is insane.
Shoot me a message or an email or a text, whatever you want to do, Sonia, and we'll figure out a time to get together.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Murray and Cannon Street, Paul?
133 Murray Street was a replacement for a tree that had been taken down. 31 Cannon Street was a replacement. They had looked at 4 trees installed where trees were taken down and had died and needed to be removed because of hazard. I know, Rich, you were talking about driftwood.
Driftwood is staked for 1 tree for a homeowner that has to take a diseased tree out, and we're going to replant. It's a underwire, medium-sized tree, so that's going to be a cherry.
Mhm.
Okay.
Calvin Murphy Drive. Okay, so that's actually the address for Norwalk High School. I
Yes.
do a lot of lectures and educational work with the high school. And one day was there with some of the faculty members there. And some folks were upset that a tree had been diseased and had to be removed in front on the very prominent corner there. And so, you know, in steps TAC, and we're going to be putting hopefully 2 trees, Rich.
2.
Yep, 2 trees in front there, and we're going to make a big deal out of it and get the faculty members who I work with and get students involved and have like a nice kind of ceremonial planting. I did some programs with them, learning about trees and photosynthesis and a few other things, and so I think it'll kind of be a nice kind of capstone to that program.
Okay, we'll get the species of those and then the locations. We'll put those in also.
They're open. Rich had some suggestions based on some of the trees that were already around there. So Rich, they don't even need to see the list. They're completely open. They're more concerned with something being put there that's successful. And they're not super picky.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
32 Kasuth Street was a removal, and we're trying to replace a tree that had been removed because it was diseased and dying.
And Country Street at Strawberry.
Rich, I think you were talking about that one, right?
That's you as well, Paul.
Yep. There's a couple of trees that were supposed to go in up at the intersection up there. Did you pick the species at all yet, Rich?
No, I think County and Strawberry Hill are the same as the school. One and the same.
It is the same one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the 2 trees.
take that
I didn't select the location.
Okay,
I
I
gotta
was
state that.
wondering what that was because nobody seemed to know what Country Street was. Okay.
Could be
Merrill.
County, not country.
Oh. Yeah, no, it says county. I'm the one that said country.
Okay.
Merrill, East Ave, and Elmwood. Paul, those are all you.
Yeah, 15 Merrill was a request for a tree to be installed. I got that. East Avenue was the 11 trees that Jim had talked about up above. So half the 22 would be 11 that the tree advisory committee would be funding through our capital budget. And then Elmwood Avenue in this preparation for what's going to be done up there for the spring of 22. It's not going to be able to be done for the fall because the construction is not completed up there. So we'll push that to the spring of 22, and it'll be 11 trees up there.
I'm sorry, Paul. What did you just say that out of the 22 trees that we're putting in along East Avenue, TAC is paying for 11 of them?
We're going to fund 11. Anthony Carr had talked with Jim and said that we would fund 11 of them.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, Jim just said it was transportation and DPW funding it.
Yeah, DPW, us, TAC.
For DPW.
Where that's us, huh? I was
You
kind of
missed
hoping
that,
that.
Erica. You missed that.
I
got that.
purposefully let that gloss right over.
Oh, no. That's 8K right there.
Okay. All right. And then Paul, there were some replacements on First Street.
Yeah, that one Rosa Ragusa that was stolen that I had mentioned back in July. We put 3 of them in, and somebody had taken one out of the middle out.
I wanted to report back that it's doing very well, by the way.
Don't even joke about that, Rich.
That's hilarious. All right, and then Olmsted has been providing a regular watering and maintenance schedule to Paul. And so Paul, you have an updated schedule from them?
Yes, and I've got it up on the screen now, and basically they're going through. They've done watering in July. You can see some of the trees that were planted back during late last year in December is when they build them, actually, is when they were built. So they started doing watering on those, continued. There were trees that were watered back in August. And you
Okay,
can
well,
see,
it looks like a pretty extensive list. Is there anything that red flagged you? Is there anything that we need to get back to them about in terms of not being watered?
Not that I'm aware of, especially with the water that we've had lately from the weather.
Okay, good. Then no news is good news.
Okay.
The Plea tree planting RFP, how are we doing with that? I mean, we're all done. So you want to just report on
Very,
that?
very good. That the RFP is done. And Olmsted was the selected contractor for the tree planting. They basically, in this case, had the lowest prices, and I can give you other information if you'd like on it. But basically, Rich was on the committee where we interviewed him back in July and August. Went through all of the different people who had submitted proposals and evaluated all of them with the purchasing department, and Olmsted was clearly the choice again. And Rich, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, they answered a lot of questions. I think, I had a couple of pet peeves with the contract about replacement trees and selection of the quality of the trees, and Gary gave us some good answers, and if things don't pan out that way, I'll call him up.
Just curious, Paul, just the next highest bidder, what was the range without getting in numbers? Significant or?
And there was another person, another company that was close in the prices, but the staff was a lot less in terms of the amount of staff. And I'm not sure if you're aware of it, Olmsted has 105 full-time employees, where the other place it was 16 full-time employees and part-time employees. So looking at expanding the program the way we're probably going to be doing in the future to plant more trees, we felt more comfortable with that. And as I said, they had the best prices of everyone too.
That's fine.
And
We're just
believe it or
seeing
not,
everything up.
if you took all of the prices, the average of every single tree in the contract, the prices actually went down. The average price went down from last contract to this contract.
I think-
Interesting, because we're seeing the industry quite high right now.
Mhm. And a lot of species being, hard to get that were not hard to get before, for sure.
Mhm.
Okay,
That's
so
not saying
great.
that some didn't go
Okay.
up, some didn't go down, but the average across all of the trees, there was a reduction in cost compared to last contract in 2016.
So we're working with Olmsted again. Woodward Park planting plan. Did you want to comment on that, Paul?
Okay, I can, Louise Washer had asked me to put up, and that's basically a combination of the next one with the River Watershed Association too. Let me pull up that next set of plans.
Delene, while Paul's doing that, has Louise joined us?
No, he just typed in a question that I had read out loud, but he's not on here anymore.
Okay. I apologize if you were trying to get our attention. I don't see raised hands or anybody except for the 9 of us.
Yeah, he had just typed in a question.
Okay.
Try again, screen share. I believe that should be up now for everyone to see.
We can see it.
Okay. And basically, they're going to be doing work over in this area of the park. And they'll be putting 10 trees in 15-gallon pots, as well as some shrubs and grasses down in this area. And she gave me a list of the trees. They're going to be 2 swamp white oaks, 2 sweet gums, black gum, hackberry, and red maple each. And that'll be going along in this area here. DPW's, I believe, digging the holes for them. And they're gonna be planting these with a group of people.
Do they have a
The
date
other
for
item-
that yet, Paul? Do they have a date for that planting so I can put it out to the students if they're gonna ask for volunteers?
I don't believe she gave me a date. I can check with her tomorrow and email you.
That's okay.
I have a date.
I'm
Oh,
sorry to
great.
interrupt, but I've got a date for you if you'd like. It's on
Please.
October 9th from 10 to 1.
Oh, that's soon. Good. Okay.
October 9th?
Yes, October 9th
9th.
from 10 to 1.
And
is
is
what
there
you
a
told me.
particular place at Woodward Park where the students should meet? Do you know offhand? I just don't, sometimes they'll email me that they're wandering.
Yeah, so it's pretty open through there. So you see Dock Road right at the bottom. That's where people tend to park. And that's usually where people enter to do these types of projects over there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. And
Okay,
Lisa, were you going to talk about the Nature Conservancy grant, or Paul, were you going to talk about that?
Paul may have more information
Louise?
than I do at this time.
Okay.
Okay, and one of the things too, and they are related, I believe, correct, from what I understand, right, Lisa?
They are, yes.
Okay, and I can just give you a little update while we're on Woodward. One other thing too. Alan and I had a meeting last Thursday with the Tree Alliance about the work to be done, and he's working on the plan. And we're going to meet again this week to finalize the plan around the pump house too. So that's being worked on also related to Woodward Park too.
Thanks, Paul. For people who don't know, they had to take down the very big holly around the pump house. And there was quite a lot of upset about that. But DPW came to our rescue and promised that we could put in a pollinator path garden in that area. So that's what they're working on. Right, Paul? That's
We'll
fair.
end up being 10 feet off the building. There'll be some trees and some shrubs going in because we do have an infrastructure pipe. There's a gravity sewer line and a water line that go into the pump station. And then there's a pump line that comes out around all the way up Woodward Avenue to Meadow Street. And basically all the sanitary sewers drain in this area into the pump station here, and it has to be pumped up to Meadow Street. So that's why we've got to be careful about the infrastructure. But yeah, we're putting together that plan so that we'd like to see if we can get it done so that we can have it installed this fall, and the Water Pollution Control Authority will be paying for that work. It won't be coming out of the TAC capital budget.
Oh, is the chain link fence still up, or were we ever able to get a wood guide rail around that part?
Whereabouts?
Huh? I don't remember.
Around this area of the park?
Right, along Woodward.
Yeah, it's gone. That's gone.
Okay.
The chain
Oh,
link
there's
fence.
still one. There's still one about the tennis courts, right? The chain link's over there now. I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty
And
Yeah,
the
well.
it's over
playground,
there.
oh, and at the playground, I think there's one. but-
but the one, are you talking about the one that was down around here, Peter?
Right.
Yeah, that's all gone.
And we got a wood guide rail, and I've not been down there in a while. Okay.
And it looks a lot better.
I'm
sure
not sure we have a guide rail. I think it's just open.
it's
It's
open.
just
believe
open,
so,
there's no
that's correct.
guardrail.
Okay, because people were driving in. That's what, if we don't have the need, it's not necessary, but it's much more open without a fence.
Right now, hopefully in a few years, they won't be able to drive in because the trees that have been planted all along this area here will be big enough that they can't get through.
Okay, well, if we see them driving, it's soil compaction, that's the problem. So
Yes.
start noticing, we'll have to do something.
Okay. The next item on the agenda are grant applications. It's a little premature to discuss any one particular grant in detail. However, there are two that I am looking at. One is an urban forestry grant, and the other is a grant through a prominent botanical garden that would allow us to do a pollinator pathway over at the Children's Learning Center at Rudner Court, which, as many people know, is kind of a little TAC project. You know, we're always trying to do some work over at Rudner Court and keep our educational programs at the Children's Learning Center alive. With COVID for the last year and a half, we haven't been able to do much over there, but I got an email from the director last week, and the kids are back in full swing, and she would love to work with us. And so I'm going to be putting together an educational program with some of my environmental science students. But I thought in terms of a grant that we could do through TAC, this botanical garden grant, to get something there to involve the kids and have them learning about not just plants in general, but also about pollinators, and having that pollinator garden right there. And then I was going to work with them and have them kind of report back whenever they saw a butterfly or a bee, and they get kind of excited about that. So hopefully we'll get that grant, and I'll keep everybody a little more posted when things flesh out a little bit more. But we're not planting seeds there. We're putting in actual plants and bushes so that it could be functioning in the spring immediately upon installation. And we don't have to worry about, the kids taking care of seedlings. And it'll also provide some instant beautification to that front area when you walk in.
One other thing I mentioned related to that with the grants too, just so everybody's aware of it, and we can try and maybe coordinate so that if one falls through, and I'm thinking of Rudner Court in particular, we've got another possible backup. The Chief of Economic Community Development, Jessica, had been putting a list of potential locations for a Martin Luther King initiative together for a whole group of different things and asking for people for input and everything. So what we had asked for as Public Works, we said, okay, if we take care of the trees down along Madison, MLK, as the trees that would fall under the TAC budget, if there's anything on the inside of the project through that grant, they could fund that if we ended up being successful in getting it. A couple of other spots that we put out there too was Rudner Court too, because I know, Erica, you wanted to do more planting over there, and we were looking to get more in there. So if we didn't get the grants and stuff that you were talking about, maybe we can also use that. So I'll keep you posted, because we're going to try and come at it from 2 or 3 different directions, and between one of them, maybe get the money to do what we need to do.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about, collaborating and just greening these areas. So the GIS mapping, I just wanted to very quickly get an estimate. I know you've had an NCC student working with you about how many trees do we have in that program at this point? Just an estimate number.
Right now, I can bring it up on the screen if you want to see it, basically, but we've got, pull it up.
Radio silence.
Right now, there's
Technical difficulty.
317 trees that have been put in to date over there. And I'm looking to share the screen, and we'll.
That's
get
a
the
nice
one-
dent, because the last time I heard it was like 80 something. So that's fantastic.
And you can see, can you guys see everything now?
Yeah.
This is basically 317 is what we've collected to date. We took the information that Danica had talked about, and can show you one of the trees that was located. It was a tree that was planted by Tree Advisory DPW in 2005. And this is the picture of it that was taken out there. That's that particular tree.
Did we include genus and species, the scientific name, Paul? Did we include that now?
I've got IT doing that in the background. They've told me what they can do is they will program it so that they're interchangeable, and we'll see both of them. So they'll both be listed on there for the future. So that would be one of the things that'll be going on.
Okay,
And
great. Now,
so
is
we
that
made a lot of
student still
progress.
working with you?
James has gone back to school now. He's a student over at NCC that Louise had recruited. And he's not gotten back in a couple weeks right now because he's getting settled into school, but has said that, and he gets time to get settled, he will come back and do more mapping for us. But if we have another volunteer that wants to do more mapping, we've got to get to 900. We're at 317. So.
Okay. All right, well, I can definitely put the word out to some of the students and see, but usually, you know, our students are a little financially strapped, and it's usually paying things that they, you know, tend to look for. But I can absolutely see if anyone's
Well,
interested in that.
she is paying people through the grant. So Louise had money that she was paying people to do the work. So James was getting paid.
I understand that, but is there still the
Yes.
ability to be paid? Okay, then that's a different story. Then do you have a write-up for this, Paul, with what the job entails, how many hours a week, and how much the pay is? Or should I reach out to Louise for that? Because if I, you know, post it to my students, I'm going to want to give them the information, you know, when I put the word out.
Yeah, I've got all the information.
Can you
I can get that to you.
can you email that to me, please? And then even if James comes back, that's great, depending on, you know, and I'll include Louise on the email that I send out. If he comes back, that's great. If he doesn't, maybe we can find somebody else. Or since we have so many more trees, 2 people, if she has the ability to fund that, we'll figure that out. But if you can send that to me, we can at least get that ball rolling. That would be great.
We're making progress, though. We're a third of the way through.
No, absolutely. So the Charter Oak newsletter, the next installment should be coming out soon. So I wanted to throw it out there. If anybody had anything that they wanted to include, to please email that to me. And that I would like to also include Josh's, you know, maybe a piece of his press release for the new planting programs that are going to be going on, particularly the one in the East Avenue area. So anything you have, just please send to me. Yes, Cindy?
Are we planning to announce that Sonia's joined our meeting?
I think that would be fantastic. We do a little piece on Sonia.
Rita?
That's a great idea.
Erica, do you want me to write up something about the tree ordinance?
If you want to write something that and then let people know that in October it's going to be going to a public hearing, absolutely, that would be great.
Okay, I'll write a paragraph. Is that kind of what you want?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you. Some tree plantings. If you think of anything else, just email me. I'm not going to work on this probably until next week. I'm a little strapped with grading for the next few days.
East Avenue?
Yeah, absolutely. I have the planting programs in here. So I'd want to do like East Avenue and Woodward or something, you know, about those as well.
And we're on target right now between what TMP is going to do and then what we're going to do. It looks like we're on target to be between 65 and 70 trees for this fall planting. Last fall, it was 56, and this will be a record for any single cycle of planting. So the trend is going up.
Awesome.
We're averaging 35 a cycle before.
By the
Okay.
way, I just heard from Louise and she says she does have funds still available for an intern. So this is good news.
That's great news. Yeah, no, that's perfect, Lisa. Thank you. And, you know, I can, you know, maybe we can reach out and see if I don't know if it works like by number of hours, and then we can maybe divide those hours by two people, especially if James is taking a full schedule. Now he's not going to be as available as he was over the summer, I'd assume. Okay.
And I talked with Louise a little bit today, basically, and I would imagine everybody on the committee feels the same way. We talked with James a little bit too. Obviously, our opinion, our opinion is basically, if he's a college student, his number one priority has to be his college studies versus doing this on the side. I don't want this to distract him from his schoolwork. So if he can fit it in, great. But we were averaging about 20 hours a week before during the summertime is what it was.
Right, but that's not realistic for a college student. So we'll let him make that decision.
Exactly.
I don't want to, we're just past our hour, and I usually I like to keep it within that hour, and I don't want to rush Alan. So I think we should turn the floor over to him so he can tell us about NTA.
Thanks, Erica. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here again, and so wonderful to hear all of the work that you all do. It's so fantastic. So here's the quick lowdown on Tree Alliance. We've been meeting steadily as usual, and we have a few things coming up. Paul mentioned the Woodward Ave Park pump house plan, which we're working on. We also did our first ever coordinated program with Lush, which is a cosmetics store in the mall, and they're interested in environmentally sustainable product. And so through One Tree Planted, we made a connection with them, and we got a small grant. We did a contest. We'll be planting 3 trees for the 3 winners of that contest. And then we're also going to the Peatman property, which was recently given to the Norwalk Land Trust. And it's an interesting property. It used to be a riding space, and so it's largely stone dust. But in that stone dust have grown up hundreds of small seedlings. We're going to be digging them out on October 9th, potting them up in small 5-inch pots, and then giving them out the very following Saturday to anyone in Norwalk who wants a free native tree. So you'll see some email blasts from us about that so that we can get the word out. But the idea is just to make use of these before that area gets converted into a pollinator meadow. We are
the same date. I'm sorry, Alan. That's the same date as the plantings at Woodward Park.
It is, coincidentally.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay. And what's the time frame for that? Because, you know, maybe I can have some students go over there.
Yeah, that's great. 9:30 to 11:30 is our event. Our event has the benefit, you know, not to try to put it ahead of anyone's, but ours is little tiny trees. So people who have maybe back issues or don't like digging or handling heavy things, this is a really good event for you. Other events, you got to put some muscle into it. So other things on our radar screen, we are in the process of narrowing down 10 applicants to our part-time administrative assistant position, paid position, down to 3. We're interviewing those final 3 this week, and we hope to hire the first ever paid person the Norwalk Tree Alliance has ever had to further carry the momentum that we've generated. Our board is active and doing so much, but we don't want to burn them out, and we have more consistent fundraising and access to dollars than we used to. So we're making a really big move in the history of the Tree Alliance to do that. Coupled with that, we have our annual election coming up in October. So we're putting our slate of candidates forward, and we have almost all, excepting 1 person of our board, is returning again, which is very exciting. And we are working towards our spring projects, one of which will be a jubilee in honor of the Queen. We'll be planting a grove of trees, site to be determined, but that is something that our Queen, no longer, but the Queen of England, has asked that people donate or plant trees in her honor for the Jubilee Festival. So we're going to do a little nod to that next year. And that's it from us. We're happily working along on so many great things.
Great. Thank you so much. If
Just
you
mention,
get a
I think you were
chance,
here, Alan, before when I mentioned that Jean McAndrew had come in this morning. She gave me the list of the Norwalk notable trees that the Tree Alliance had before. So I've got all of those right in my hand.
Oh, that's great, Paul. Fantastic. Thank you.
They're bigger now.
That's right.
And more
I would hope
notable.
so.
If they're still there.
Hopefully they're not been removed, but yes.
Alan, when you get a chance, is it possible, I don't know if you have like a flyer or something that you made for the October 9th, 9:30 to 11:30 event? Maybe I can post it on my Blackboard site for students or something, or email blast it to them.
Absolutely. We do have a flyer. Let me have Jennifer and Anna shoot that over to you.
If they could email that to me. And I don't know if we have anything for Woodward Park on the 9th from 10 to 1.
You want me to ask Louise to shoot you something, Erica?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Lisa, that would really be great. Thank you. If she has anything that, you know, I can just send out or just post these 2 on Blackboard, that would be great. Is there any other business that anyone would like to discuss?
I'm laying low. I'm staying out of trouble.
All right, then I'm moving to adjourn at 7:11. Anybody would like to second that?
Second the motion. Great job, Professor Kip.
So, Professor Kip, I unloaded one of those liaison bags this weekend in my office. I found a little cheat sheet on the tree species.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's
Great job.
laminated. I love it.
Laminated in the little tree finder book, which I don't know if you're still using, because I'm not a tree liaison.
I would love to be able to use that. Can you send me a
I'll slide
picture
to
of the
bio
ISBN?
line. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Pretty pictures and all, what leaves look like.
I love it. Looks like a compound leaf from here.
Well, it's simple and direct, which is what liaisons need. You know, they're not.
I could not agree more.
So.
Okay, so I think, Rich, did you move to
Yes.
second the adjournment? Okay, just so
Second the
Delaney can
adjournment.
get that. All right, guys, thank you so much. Fantastic meeting.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, everybody.
talk soon.
Have a great
Have a
night.
good night.
Have a good
Bye.
night, guys. Bye.
Bye.
All right.